Good evening. Welcome to another program of Have You Heard with Laquita. And tonight I have a very special guest. This is brought to you by WAIN TV. And my guest tonight is Mr. Fitzgerald Smith Jr., owner of Smith Financial Group. Thank you, Mr. Smith, for joining me today.
Thank you for inviting me.
The name of this program will find it very interesting to small businesses and nonprofit because you have to know when to find a good accountant. It's good to do your books if you have that talent. It's good when you can't afford to hire an accountant, but it's not good when your company or nonprofit is growing and you're still trying to be your accountant. So, with that in mind, I invited Mr. Fitzgerald to actually step up and tell me why it's time for me to find my own accountant. Now, he is my accountant now. Company has grown, and it's time for me to step up to my own plate. And it's some things that I can do, but I don't like doing. So, Mr. Smith, and I will call you Fitzgerald now.
That's fine.
To keep it not so formal.
Okay.
And the first thing I want to know, what are some of the main components that a small business or a nonprofit need to look for in an accountant?
Well, one of the first things you want to look for is the track record or references. You want to see if this person has been successful with other companies like yourself. The third thing is you want to look at is the cost. Now, I say that because Clark Howard did a study a couple years ago about accountants, and he showed where he went to, as they would call maybe a shade tree accountant versus a large company, and gave them all the same problem. And lo and behold, a lower scale accountant that was not a CPA scored higher than the larger firms. Now, this doesn't mean that all large firms are what I would say shade trees or bad, but because I have worked with a couple large firms when I was with a dentist's office.
Okay.
I was their bookkeeper, and I got to meet some larger firms and really got to study under them and really got to understand what it takes to run an accounting firm and then be there for the people. I will say this, and I don't want to too much get into my Christianity, but when you find an accountant that has compassion,
Yes.
then you have a good accountant.
I believe that. That's why I chose you to be my accountant. I have known you for over a year. You've been there. You have structured things for me. And talking about what my books look like, knowing what you saw the work I did, you was very gracious with letting me know you don't need to do this anymore. So politeness always help also. Instead of finding for me someone with a personality who knows me and who can work with my personality, I am not a stat-minded or very serious person. When it comes down to doing business, I am at ease. So Fitzgerald really helped me, and he blended right in because he was very polite of letting me know that this is not it. And my next question to you is, why shouldn't I have continued to do my own books?
Well, one of the biggest things is when you're small, and I cater to small mom and pop companies that are 30,000 and under. You say 30,000, yes, but
Yes.
the thing of it is, you need to have the same financial statements that a larger company has.
Oh, yes.
Say Kroger's or a larger company. You need to have your financial statements in order, regardless of how much money you're making. If you can't do it yourself and you're just making $10,000, you need to find me.
That's right.
Okay, because I'm there to help you.
Mm-hmm.
Those financial statements are very valuable. One, when you go to the bank. Two, they're very valuable to you because you get to see where you're spending.
Right.
I have several clients, once they allowed me to start doing their books and getting their financial statements together, they were shocked. I was spending this kind of money for this?
Wow.
And even like yourself, I had one gentleman he missed out on a lot of his expenses because he was looking at one thing and he was not looking at the total picture.
Wow. And you can help your clients visualize what their big
Yes.
picture is.
Yes.
Now, we're going to focus for a moment on nonprofit. Nonprofit has a major problem with not being able to show financial records, accurate financial records. Fitzgerald, tell me, are you able to help nonprofit clients with knowing that their money come in very slowly and knowing that it's based on grants or fundraising? How would you be able to help a nonprofit organization if they were your clients?
Well, I would say this, that right now I am the treasurer for East Point Main Street Association.
That's right.
And it's a nonprofit organization. And the thing of it is, I've learned so much from working with them that you want to be able to show, once again, your financial statements. You need that. That is the key. That's where the accounting comes in with the nonprofit. The other thing is, there's certain things that need to be done on the federal level for a nonprofit organization. And once again, if you have that accountant there, he should know or she should know what things should be in place and what things need to be done on a calendar year.
Now, one thing about a nonprofit, on the board of directors, I have found through some of my clients that they'll give a position of a treasurer to a cousin or a family member, which if they have that background, is good. And if they can keep that background, they can prove those credentials. Now, you told me that you are already part of a nonprofit.
Yes.
And is East Point Main Street. Now, what would you tell someone who just starting out with a nonprofit that what qualification they really, really must have in place? I mean, no cousin, friend, even if they're cousin, mama, daddy, brother, sister, they must have this qualification.
If somebody asks a question like that, I would say one of the biggest things is that they should have knowledge but have the intelligence to be able to research. Because one of the things I've learned is that, well, I put it to you this way. When I was working for H&R Block, I had an old gentleman by the name of Mr. Bowie. And Mr. Bowie pulled me to the side and told me one day, he said, taxes, doing tax returns is 25% knowledge and 75%.
Okay, okay.
And the thing is, you don't know everything. None of us do. But have the intelligence to gather all the information and have resources
True.
That's why I love having you on board, because you are my resource when it comes to nonprofit.
Tell you.
Okay?
Plug me one more time. One more time. I am your resource
Yes.
for nonprofit.
Yes.
I like that.
And even with my accounting and even with my taxes, I have several other tax preparers that when we have a situation with a tax return, we feed off of each other. We call each other or we email and everything and talk to each other about things. And that's you have a good network,
Mm-hmm.
then you can come and talk and, for example, go to an organization, a nonprofit organization,
Mm-hmm.
and say, yes, I can help you.
That's
Because
right.
I have the backup, the resources, that is just not me.
That's
I have
right.
the resources.
And you have to have check and balances.
Oh, yes.
Don't let your treasurer or your
Yes.
accountant be the only one who can make a decision when it comes down to the benefit of the nonprofit.
Mm-hmm.
I remember a long time ago, and I thought about it so much in my life that I always remember, no matter how big you get. Bill Cosby said, never be too busy to sign your own
That's
checks.
it. That's right.
It's good to have an accountant or a treasurer that you trust,
Mm-hmm.
but don't release all the responsibility. Make sure that you take time to look at what they're telling you
Mm-hmm.
and have a little knowledge. I am one, and the reason you have really, really been a savior for me, I don't like numbers. I can write all day, and I have done my own accountant, QuickBook, and I won't say how long it's been since I've been on QuickBook, but now since I've grown, my company is growing more
Mm-hmm.
because of all the services I give.
Mm-hmm.
I need someone to take over that, and you tag you in.
Thank you.
And that's one reason why I wanted to bring you on this show, because you made it so clear to me that it was time.
Yeah.
When all I did was just call to check and see how you was doing, and I was telling you about the business.
Yes.
And
Yes.
you just let me know, okay, it's time for you to stop doing this. This is not going to help.
Mm-hmm.
So you are able to help others.
Yes. And listening to you, I think of out of 10, I would say you listen. I have a lot of people that have very small businesses that they won't listen when I say you really need to allow me to do your books monthly.
Mm-hmm.
You'll be able to see where your funds are going.
Yes.
You'll be able to make sound judgments as far as, well, I need to cut back on this. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
things of that nature. But when you don't have those monthly books, you can't make those type of decisions.
And I wasn't seeing mine. I
Mhm.
knew I was growing. I knew
Mhm.
I was making more money.
Mhm.
I knew that I had more clients, but I didn't see it.
Mhm.
Because I'm so busy trying to do my workshops, my seminars, do grant writing, do the research, the 501c3, that I only went to my books. I won't say the rest, but it wasn't enough to project. And the
Mhm.
charts, because you do charts,
Yes.
progress, you let me know where my money was,
Yes.
what I need to be spending, where I could cut, and that is what we need, whether it's a small business or nonprofit.
Yes.
And I know that I'm spending a lot of time talking about the financial state. It's because it was more, I didn't realize it was so important to me that I was growing and I'm still trying to do my own books. That's why this show is here. Have you heard? Have you heard that you have to know when to stop doing your own bookkeeping, your own accounting? Find someone who's economical. Now, Mr. Smith Fitzgerald, he is so reasonable. I looked at it like this. I cannot afford not to have him. Now, I could continue to doing what I was doing and still losing. But at this point in time, my company is 5 years old. It's at the point where it can support me now. if I do what I'm supposed to do. And that's find someone as Fitzgerald who I can depend on. He sit with me. He was so patient. And when I pulled out what I call my bookkeeping, he laughed. But he was right there with me. And you need to give him a call because he is reasonable. And he will actually work with you. You can't afford not to have him as your accountant. Now, something exciting.
Okay.
Since you brought it up, and I'm
Okay.
just going to expand it. You told us that you are the treasurer of the East Point Main Street Association.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell us about that.
Ah,
Yes.
I have to say that this is very exciting. This is new territory for me. I started off, to give you just a little brief history, I started off volunteering last year for the 4th of July with them. And to step back a little further, before my father passed, one of the things he asked me, he was talking to me, because my father back home, he worked in the community.
Okay.
He did a lot of work in the community. And he asked me, he said, "Are you involved in the community?" And I said, "No, not yet, because I got too much on my plate." "Well, you need to get involved." So after he passed, I made it a promise.
Uh-huh.
And that's when I went and volunteered with East Point Main Street Association for their 4th of July. They also put on Taste of East Point.
Oh, yes, I
Destination.
went
Oh,
there.
you went to the, yes.
I went to the
yes.
taste, and it was wonderful. This was my first year I went.
Okay.
And when you told me that Main Street, the association did this,
Yes.
I was so impressed. I had such a wonderful time.
Well, now, the other thing about East Point Main Street Association, we're a nonprofit. The board is full of volunteers and business owners. And we're not just for the events,
Okay.
but we are looking to get the business association started back so that the Downtown East Point Business Association, and with anything, you want to start off small. So
Correct.
we're concentrating on downtown businesses, but we want to, as the years go by, we want to grow to encompass all East Point businesses. Right now we're planning the 4th of July,
Okay. Now
what we
let's-
call the salute to the red, white, and blue.
All right.
The little small catching is a hometown celebration.
All right.
It's going to start on the 4th of July, which is Wednesday, middle of the week. It will start at 4 o'clock with opening announcements and the singing of the American national anthem. And then from there on, we'll have a stage. Well, I'll just read it here. We'll have various acts all day. We'll have a carnival, of course, the Ferris wheel, and carouseling games. We'll have face painting. We'll have 2 bouncy houses and balloons for the children. We'll have all kind of food and beverage vendors. We'll have general merchandise vendors. And I must tell you, last year was my first year volunteering and actually being there for the vendors. Before, I would always come later on and listen to the music, the jazz, and watch the fireworks. But I must tell you, all the vendors, all the type of food, funnel cakes, oh Lord. But we'll also have KISS 104.1.
Oh, wow. I
And
love that station.
This year they're going to simulcast the fireworks show. So the music that is going on for the fireworks show will be on KISS 104, KISS 104.1
Wow.
at the same time live.
That's new.
Yes, they do that up in Phipps,
Uh-huh.
but this is,
Wow. We're moving
just
up
a-
East Point.
I'm just going to say this. This is the largest 4th of July event south of I-20. Last year we had over 25,000 people there.
I was one of them. I love the jazz. I took a friend of mine, and although that person is very, very shy, I danced.
Okay.
They had some wonderful music there.
Mhm.
So
Yes.
it was great. I loved
Yes.
it.
So I'm just going to put this little plug in. Anybody that wants to volunteer, we also have room for sponsors as we're nonprofit. I'm going to ask you to go to downtowneastpoint.com. That's all one word. Everything spelled out. Downtowneastpoint.com. So if you want to volunteer for the 4th of July, we have information on there. If you want to have a vendor, we have forms on there that you can get. And if you want to be a sponsor.
Okay.
And sponsor.
You keep looking at me when you say sponsor. I have you. I got that. And he was so, well, you can be a sponsor. Okay.
Well,
What's the sponsorships?
Well, the sponsorship starts at $15,000. We call them fireworks sponsors, and it goes all the way down to a patron of 100.
Okay.
Now, of course, the larger sponsors will get what we call a VIP tent treatment.
Wow.
In the VIP tent, all the food you want to eat available. All the drinks, non-alcoholic drinks, soda. We will have also beer and wine, but we reserve the right. Make sure you're over 21. Reserve the right if anybody gets intoxicated, no more.
Are you going to card me?
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, yes.
I need to be carded.
Yes. And then you will be escorted to reserved seats, VIP seats for the firework.
Wow.
Now, we also have several big raffles that will be going.
Okay.
So you'll get a free ticket for that. You'll have you got the best seats in the house for the live entertainment, where the stage is located and where the VIP tent's going to be located.
Okay.
And you also will get to mingle with a lot of the leadership from our city and other local cities and state government.
Now, I'm guessing you have a limited amount of VIP tents that you're going to put out.
Well,
so we need to jump on it as soon as possible, because somehow I don't see that you're going to give out about 25 VIPs. How many? What my chances of getting a VIP tent at this time?
I would say your chances are still good.
Okay.
You know, you have to, now let's be mindful.
Okay.
The lowest, say $500, you get one pass into the VIP tent.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, take me up a little higher.
$1,000, that's gold. You get 2 passes to the VIP tent, and among other things, you get a 10 by 10 booth space to display your business on our corridor with all the other sponsors. So there, as you go up, there's more things you can get.
Okay.
If you get up to the $15,000,
wow,
you get carnival tickets, you get the VIP tickets, you get to go on stage. So when they say that you are a sponsor and everything, you actually get to come on stage and let them see your business and everything in between the acts.
And that's the fireworks sponsor.
Yes, ma'am.
Wow.
15,000.
I'm working on it.
It's a good deduction.
Yes, it is. And that's the best part about, which is a bit of information I did not put in, is that if you sponsor, it is tax deductible.
Yes.
The association has a 501c3, and they are in filing status. So it's still, they're in process and they're having it in order. Am I correct?
Yes.
And also, you cannot lose by sponsoring this fireworks in East Point. And East Point is growing, and the association is giving back our entertainment, because we used to have concerts for the whole summer in the Commons, and I used to love to go. All the different types, the different themes, and I thank the association for bringing these things back, because I do miss the music. Are we having jazz for the 4th?
I believe we do.
Okay.
I think some of the entertainers that I really can't speak on that because our president is in charge of that. And
okay.
I have yet to see all the lists, but I will tell you this. The lineup that he had for us for the taste
Yes.
was so awesome.
Yes.
That I'm just excited.
If he if he's putting this together at any level as the taste. And I cannot tell you enough how much I enjoyed that.
Thank you.
Everything was so orderly and set up, and I hate I didn't stay for the whole event. But if he's doing half as much, I'm looking forward to it.
Yes, I am too.
Because, and one thing I have to comment and compliment you about what you just did a few moments ago is this. When I asked you about something that was not in your area of expertise, you had enough enough idea about yourself to back out of that question. See, some of us won't do it. It's called staying in your lane. And you stayed in your lane. When you couldn't answer that question, you said that you won't touch onto it. And that's all about what we're talking about here today. Is staying in your lane and knowing when you're out of place. Now, Fitzgerald, you are a treasurer for the association, East Point Main Street Association.
Yes, ma'am.
And you are an accountant.
Yes, ma'am.
And those are your lanes. Now, I like the fact that you know your barriers. Some of us don't know our barriers. Some of us want to do it all. Now, I've learned down through this time to build a team for my company and to make sure that my clients actually get the best that I have to give them. I refuse to do it all. I can't do it all.
Right.
Not only can't, but I refuse it. I have enough on my plate to take care of my general duties as a business owner. But if you're a business owner or you're a CEO of a nonprofit, please, experience as a teacher, please take care and don't do it all. Because you're going to make mistakes. You're going to find that although you may have the ability to do your own books, you're missing points. You need fresh eyes.
Yes.
And that's how I see Fitzgerald. He is my fresh eyes towards my business. And you cannot take it lightly.
No.
I have printed out charts, graphs. I have printed my own invoices. I've sent them out. But I don't do it timely. I don't do it. It's not done repetitiously. It's not done in order. It's done when I can get to it.
Let me ask you something. Those charts and graphs, were you able to analyze them?
See, that's why I'm talking about. He may bring common sense to me because, no, I did not. All I knew they had, I chose the color.
Okay.
I chose my colors. I saw the percentage. And I knew what those percentage meant.
Okay.
I knew what my common ground was, my base. But I don't know how to grow my business according to those numbers.
And see, also, I've been blessed this year to serve on the budget committee for the city of East Point.
Wow.
And I've learned, okay, I have to give the Lord because he's the one working on me with
Amen.
this. But I've learned through this that there are certain percentages that you need to be looking at with your budget for your business. If you're looking at the first 3 months, you look at your expenses and everything, there's a percentage. If you are below that percentage, you're doing good with your expenses. Now you look at your profit, you look at your income, and there's a percentage that 3 months you should have hit something. If you have not, you may need to make some adjustments. Those charts will tell you that. That's why I asked you that question, did you know how to analyze them? And that's one of the things that and I'll say this, that small businesses, when I say small businesses, people that are just getting started,
Mm-hmm.
they need that.
Yes.
And they need to be able to analyze that. They need those reports so they can see where they're going. And then I truly believe this goes against most accounting principles, but you do not need to do a business plan until after your third year in business.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
He is so correct. And in my seminars for small businesses and for nonprofit, I teach that.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing people tell you to do when you say that you're starting a small business or a nonprofit, anything dealing with organization,
Right.
they tell you to do a business plan. Common sense kicks in. How would you know what the projection was? How do you know what your goals are? You haven't done any yet. You will hardly know. And there are some exceptions to the rule.
Of course.
You won't hardly know what your baseline, what your projections, projects, nor your targets are until after you have put it to the test, which really is anywhere from 2 to 3 years. You really shouldn't start building on a business plan.
Exactly.
Because it is commonly known 5 years is your survival.
Yes.
And if you can make it the third year, that's when you need to do your projections.
Correct.
Because now you have information to go by. You have targets. You know where your expenses are. You know what you can and cannot make. You know who your target goals are. So now put that to paper. But like most of you, to the computer. But then by the 5th year, you have a living and a surviving and a realistic
very much
business plan.
Yes, I agree.
With real numbers and not the projected numbers that we give the banks and everything. And they have accountants. They know when you are not giving correct projections or when you copy off of someone's paper and throw those numbers together. So you are so right about that. By bringing that to our audience is the fact that a business plan, 3 years, you should have a real projection.
Exactly.
And that brings me to, since we're still on nonprofit for a moment, I'm going to plug in a have you heard?
Oh.
Have you heard that the IRS have dissolved a lot of 501c3 statuses? And if you're one of the nonprofits who have, then you have a chance of getting that back. You have until December the 31st of this year to reinstate yourself with the IRS for your 501c3, and the filing fee is only $100. If you wait after that date, you will be expected to pay the full $850. Now, unfortunately, the statuses was wiped out, but they actually went up against the ruling, and we won. Nonprofits won that ruling.
Right.
That they were eliminated by mistake or they was not given fair warning.
Yes.
So go to your IRS online, and it's www.irs.org, and go to 501c3 status. And you can pull that up, and it will show you that if you were in good status at the time that it was dissolved, but you did not report your 990, you can actually reinstate for $100 filing fee up until December the 31st, 2012. If you wait until after that, you will be expected to go through all of the paperwork all over again to refile, and you have to pay either the $400 for the $10,000 limit or the $850 for the 10,000 plus limit. So please, you heard it here on Have You Heard with Laquita that you can actually reinstate yourself. So do not hesitate, and it's best if you do it as soon as possible, and don't keep telling yourself, well, you have time. This is June.
Yes.
half of the year is gone. So you're going to look up and it's going to be December and you're going to say, oh, but go and look it up first.
They need to call you.
Yes, they do. Listen to this man. You need to call me.
Mm-hmm.
And I like the way you plug. Now, one last thing I want to bring up with you on the subject of accounting.
Mm-hmm.
I found it to be a serious subject, and that is the filing, tax filing.
Okay.
We're going to have to separate the two. The regular standard for a small business, what tax for LLC,
Mm-hmm.
and the fact that you can put it on your personal tax, opposed to an incorporation where you file it on separate tax forms.
Mm-hmm.
Then we'll cross the line to a nonprofit, which is a 990. Which one would you like to take first?
I like the corporation. First of all, the LLC. Yes, they do say that you do the Schedule C.
Yeah.
But you can also do an election. It's called the Form 2553, if I'm not mistaken, where you can elect to be an S corp.
Okay.
And what that does, the thing you have to remember with the Schedule C, you still end up paying self-employed tax.
Right.
If you go with S corporation, the corporation does not pay a large sum of taxes.
Mm-hmm.
What happens is whatever net profit, net income that you have
Mm-hmm.
is brought to your personal, then all your personal deductions are taken away from it.
Okay.
So that is one of the highest recommendations. I have one client, and I'll just use this as a quick example, who we did everything and got him a corporation. Then we did the S corporation election, and 1 year he made over $200,000.
Okay.
After deductions and everything, we were able to move, I think, about 30,000 of that over to his personal.
Uh-huh.
Mortgage interest, his Schedule A, wiped it all out. Make a long story short, the corporation paid $50 to the state of Georgia,
Wow.
net worth tax. His federal and state personal, he got refunds. But he made $200,000.
Wow. That's why you need Fitzgerald. Any man who can think of that, any accountant, he
And it's
or
legal.
she can, yes, who can think like that and it's legal, off the cuff, he can put this together for you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, a nonprofit, quickly, the 990.
Well, the 990, a lot of nonprofits really did not realize that postcard that they could do online
Yes.
would save them, and they don't have to do all the paperwork. And that's where I feel that the reason why the IRS is giving this reprieve
Yes.
is because a lot of them didn't understand that all they had to do was the postcard. And if I'm not mistaken, but I don't have all the facts right here with me, I think it's $50,000 and less.
Yes.
So that 990 form, even if it's over that 990 form is not that difficult. That's
not.
why you need to, if you're having problems, call Ms. Hurd.
That's right.
Get in touch with me. We'll be glad to help you.
That is correct. Now, would you tell our audience the way that you need to tell your audience into the camera? Talk to them about the necessity of when it's time to stop doing your own books and find an accountant.
I will tell you this. Even if you are an accountant, for example, I have my daughter look over things after I'm finished. So I say this to everybody out there that has a business. You need somebody else, as she said earlier, fresh eyes looking at your business. Even if you can do your books, say you can do your on QuickBooks, you got your business on QuickBooks. Well, that's awesome, because then most accountants, they love QuickBooks. All they need is an accountant copy. They can look at your books and analyze it, correct it, and send it back to you. Now, and then when they print out the reports, now you have reports, and they can tell you where you at, things you need to look at, and things you may need to adjust. The other thing, if you're small, just starting out, it's more important that you have another set of eyes. You have an accountant that is able to help you along the way. And I'm putting a plug in for myself, because I'm not the one that's going to try to get rich off of you. As you grow, I grow. Yes. And that's the bottom line.
The bottom line. Now I'd like to take this moment of the show to do what I call the power of encouragement. For tonight, I want to really tell you and emphasize to you to take the time out to be yourself and not waste so much time as trying to be someone else. To project yourself as someone else takes a lot of work, because you're constantly having to readjust yourself. When they change, you change. But taking the time out to be who you are as a person takes so much less effort. Plus, you have more fun. Experience is a teacher. I know Laquita. Found out that I like her. She's a nice person. I have fun. I know that I enjoy life, and I enjoy people. But if I chose to try to be Fitzgerald, all the things about him fits him, not me. So now I have to readjust myself. Why am I telling you this? It's because I have ran into so many people who want to project themselves as someone else. They are sad because they don't like who they have become or who they are as a person. But change is in your hand. No one else can do it but you. The Lord is my God. He created me, so he already not only liked me, but he loves me. So in that return, since I understand that, I have to understand why I love and like myself. No, I don't always like some of the things I've chosen to do, but personality, I love me. And it's a challenge to love yourself, but it is truly worthwhile. I want to leave you with this verse here. My pastor taught it, Reverend Eric Vincent Thomas of St. Peter Missionary Church, Baptist Church, Sunday. And it's Proverbs 3:5. Trust in the Lord with all thy heart, and lean not into your own understanding. That scripture was for me Sunday. I don't know if it's for you tonight, but work with it. Find out what you can find out of it. Ask the Lord to touch it a little bit for you. Say, interesting. Have fun. Know when to let it go. You have so much fun just being you. So since I know I love being me, I want you to enjoy being who you are. I like meeting real people. I can go to the movies and see a fake. I don't have to shake hands with one. And I like to take the time now to thank Fitzgerald for being my guest, for giving you my audience understanding about accounting, and to invite you all to the salute to the red, white, and blue in East Point on 4th of July.
Yes.
Yes, it's in the middle of the week. But if they have the good music, we can party anyway.
Yes.
So my guest, thank you so much.
Thank you for inviting me.
And I will probably give you an update about how well he has become my accountant. He's forgiven my bookkeeping, by the way. He forgave me because he said, I'll work for you. And I thank him so much for that. And our next show will be about the truth of nonprofit. Please, if you can join me, it will be a call in, and jot down some questions that you would like to ask. I will do a basic nonprofit development show and bring you up to date about your do's and don'ts and wills and wants of nonprofit. It's okay when you want to help the community, but make sure it's the community you're willing to serve. You don't develop a nonprofit just because someone said or somebody heard. You cannot financially benefit from a nonprofit. And I'm sorry to say, just in case it hurts your feelings, you don't own the nonprofit. It's its own entity.
Yes.
You will always be the founder, but you will never be the owner.
That's right.
And you need a good accountant to start with. At least do basics. Set you up. Set your books up. Fitzgerald here, he can set your books up.
Yes.
Tell you what you need to do.
Train you.
Yes. Thank you for bringing that up, because we will do a financial training workshop. He doesn't know that yet, but I figure I would go ahead and tell him that he is on the spot to do a financial training workshop through L. Hurd Business and Nonprofit Development, LLC. And if you need to get in touch with me, please call me at 404-606-1190. The name and number is on the screen, so feel free to call me. We set up an appointment, and I do free consultations, so I'll listen out for you. In the meantime, always remember about have you heard?
Have you heard?
Now, we have a few moments to go into, so tell us one thing that you, real quickly, what you want to make sure our audience left with.
One thing I just want to interject real quick, when we were talking about nonprofits, and the other thing as far as having an accountant, you need to have a finance committee. There you have your checks and balance with the finance committee.
Wow.
So I just want to interject that because you were making a good point about making sure that you just don't have that accountant there doing, or the treasurer doing everything,
Right.
and you don't have your hands in there. With a finance committee, you have a good chance of having a better checks and balance, along with the board of directors and the executive board.
And we would cover the importance of a board of directors and what their functions are, and an executive board and what that function is on the next show. Because everyone thinks that a nonprofit can't make money, but it can. You just cannot financially benefit personally from that money.
Yes.
So the next show, if it's okay with you, Fitzgerald, I would like to invite you to the show to make sure that we cover the financial status for a nonprofit.
That's as long as it's not the Friday that we have the free movies downtown in East Point.
Oh yes, that's right, we do.
I'll be glad to come, though.
Thank you.
Yes.
And I will make sure it will be at your convenience that you can join me back here and for the financial status, and make sure that we cover everything about a nonprofit there is to come up with. Thank you so much. And I appreciate all of my guests. And until next week, this is Laquita Hurd, thanking you for attending and being my audience for Have You Heard with Laquita. Until our next show, take care, and I love you all. Good night.